Good evening, my true clues aficionados. I hope that you're doing well out there, paying attention to life's truths, clues around you, and being safe. I hope that your New Year's has definitely been going better than mine. It seems like whatever can go wrong has been going wrong. I'm hanging tough, thinking positive, and all that stuff you're supposed to do to ward off the negative BBs. So, with that, let's get started because today the game is really afoot. I want to talk about Fort Hood. Fort Hood has an insidious past. They've had prostitution rings, they have killings on a regular basis, and this isn't due to war, it's all due to something that's going on the base itself. And possibly it's being worked out, but it doesn't seem to be being worked out very thorough or very open to the public. Now, I don't know how. I know I have great respect for people that serve in the military. I know it's a really trying job, especially what you're expected to do by protecting America. But at the same time, there's a seamy underbelly to it. I've seen it before. And there's a good side to it. I mean, you know, the yin and the yang of everything. But at the same time, with females coming in a lot more, being infantryized into the military, and there's still a lot of, old man theory, old boy theory going around about it. And my ex-husband didn't like women in infantry at all. And I'm not sure what it says. That's not even good because I can't even judge him by anything he said. He was such a narcissistic psychopath. But, again, he had a long history in the military too. So I don't know what to say about all of that. All I know is that I appreciate people who are willing to lay their lives down. And there is a certain mentality that goes along with getting prepared to go to war. But, this kind of stuff that's going on is kind of crazy at the same time. And I'm definitely going to refer to the update I just seen on Vanessa Guillen. I didn't want to talk about it at first because she was, there was just so much flying on and going and all this and that about it. I really didn't want to get involved in it until it really had settled down. But I really think what happened to her needs to be discussed. It needs to be brought up over and over again. It needs to be kept out in the open. If they, like they said, they put that on the gate there to remind people of what happened to her. There's murals all over of her in Texas. We need to keep her alive across the United States for people that are continuing to go through this, and that's so the laws change. And we need to keep the pressure on the military and the upper forces of the militaries to do the right things. And this section I'm calling Vanessa Guillen and the Green Wall. On Friday, the U.S. Army confirmed for the first time the slaying specialist Vanessa Guillen was sexually harassed and further retaliated against at Fort Hood, as her family in Houston has consistently alleged in their criminal fight for justice reform in the military. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. They made a lot of promises to the Guillen family and they've kept very few of them. They're very disappointed and they feel like they've been lied to. And this could be standard practice in the military. They don't tell you anything that they don't feel that you need to know. And as I said, there's good and bad in the military. I'm not talking about everybody. I'm sure there's a percentage of people that carry on like this, and most of them are very respectable, valorous people. In late summer 2019, Guillen, who was then a private first class, was a victim of sexual harassment after her superior in a troop orderly room tried to solicit her in Spanish to participate in a threesome, according to a report released Friday from an investigation led by General John Murray, the commander of Army Futures Command based in Austin. And that was a complaint and a fear of her that she had been complaining to her mom about. She was keeping it really close to her chest. I'm sure she wanted to act like she was adult. This was like really her first time being away from home. And, they expect you to buck up, in the military. This isn't a place for sissies. And so I'm sure she was giving her all and trying not to speak about things, especially when you know how things can be talked about in the military. Guillen's superior would then go on to target her, calling her out in front of her peers and consistently making an example out of her, the report said. So because she did not go along with his sexual wishes, he thought it was okay to just beat on her all the time, mentally, and, call her out physically for her performance. And she loved to work out. From what I heard, the pandemic was really hard for her. She would tell her boyfriend about being so frustrated. She'd be like, let me just hold you and do squats, which I think is really funny and very telling of her personality. During a field training exercise, the same supervisor encountered Specialist Guillen while she performed personal hygiene in the wood line. Specialist Guillen reported that this made her uncomfortable. The report added that Guillen was adamant about not wanting to get in trouble by telling what happened. Again, trying not to make waves, trying to go along with the flow, be part of the military family, and be a big girl. The report indicates that Guillen informally reported that she was sexually harassed on 2 occasions, and in both instances her supervisor failed to report the harassment and other leaders failed to take appropriate action, the report said. 2 soldiers did report the incident to Guillen's unit leadership, who failed to initiate the investigation, the report said. The 2 that came forward were her friends. They were the ones that were looking around all over for her, and while her family was panicking because they felt bad for what she was going through. That's such an asshole remark. Major General Jean LaBeouf, Chief of Staff from the U.S. Army Forces Command, said Friday that privacy concerns kept him from releasing the name of the superior accused of sexually harassing Guillen. However, he did say the person was among 14 Fort Hood leaders who were either fired or suspended for their actions related to Guillen's disappearance and death. 21 people in the U.S. Army at Fort Hood have received punitive actions for their involvement in Guillen's case, with those actions including firing, suspensions, reprimands. Attorney Natalie Kawam, who represents the Guillen family, released a statement on the findings of the investigation Friday, saying soldiers would continue to go unprotected from sexual assault and sexual harassment in the military until laws were passed to further protect them from abuse. Vanessa's case was severely mishandled. We are upset that there's a lot of redactions and aren't being provided with the names, especially the soldiers that were harassing her. It's heartbreaking and frustrating for all of us. So many errors from commanders on down. You may call them errors or you may call them purposeful. The fact that it's still going on may not be called an error at all. And the fact that these people were penalized for their activities, somebody killed this woman, or somebody had activities and acknowledgement of what was going on. I mean, I don't know. It's just so screwed up, and I don't blame her for being so frustrated and afraid and feeling so alone. Authorities suspect a fellow Fort Hood soldier, Specialist Aaron Robinson, beat Guillen to death with a hammer in the armory room on the post the morning of April 22, 2020. Then Robinson fatally shot himself July 1 as authorities tried to question him, according to Killeen police. Guillen's mother, Gloria, revealed that her daughter had confided to her that multiple soldiers had been sexually harassing her on post. One of the soldiers Guillen said was harassing her was Robinson, according to the family. Okay, that's great. They did not follow protocol keeping this Aaron Robinson secured and safe to be questioned and to serve time if he is the perpetrator of the crime. Completely wrong. He had way too much time to run away, get a weapon, and to murder himself. Many people have shared their stories which were similar, often saying the military did little or nothing to investigate the incidents or prosecute the offenders. In many of the social media posts, soldiers say they never reported their experiences out of fear of retaliation. Right on. Right on. I Am Vanessa Guillen Act, a bill that, if signed into law, would allow investigators outside a soldier's direct chain of command to investigate instances of sexual abuse in the military. I Am Vanessa Guillen Act say current American Army protocols are flawed and problematic because the investigators are often those in the victim's direct chain of command and frequently have personal relationships with those accused of a crime and the victim is reporting. As a result, victims fear retaliation if those investigators fail to properly investigate without bias. And considering the people that they found dead on Fort Hood, yeah, I'd be afraid too because they're just more than just talking. Agents with the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command requested Robinson be held at a conference room by an unarmed guard so that they could detain him and question him. Fort Hood leaders failed to let the soldier know who was watching him that Robinson was suspected of killing Guillen. Yeah, why say that? Because it could be too helpful. During that time, Robinson, who had his cell phone, called his mother to say, "Don't believe what you hear about me." Robinson ran out of the conference room and left Fort Hood. Details on how he got past gate security and gained access to the gun that he used to kill himself are still being withheld, pending the results of a criminal investigation, which means we could possibly never hear about that. The report from Murray's investigation also said the acting senior commander of Fort Hood at the time failed to effectively engage the media and the public after Guillen's disappearance because they're too busy trying to hide their dirty laundry and despicable conduct. This failure contributed to an inability to inform and educate the public in a timely manner, as well as a failure to maintain transparency with the Guillen family. The report from Murray's investigation also said the acting senior commander of Fort Hood at the time failed to effectively engage the media because obviously they're trying to hide the truth. The failure contributed to the inability for people to find out and take advantage and act immediately. Guillen's army friends were worried about her disappearance. She hadn't been responding to texts or calls from the family either, and as day turned into night, Cruz and Vanessa's sister, her fiancé, and her sister Myra Guillen drove to Fort Hood. They arrived after midnight, and Mayra says that they were told by the staff sergeant to come back in the morning. They wouldn't even do like a lady check on Vanessa. Totally sucks. Oh, but when they can't find her, what do? They mark her AWOL, which is absence without leave. At the time, there was not a missing soldier protocol in place. Like, what the fuck? Really? It was during a pandemic. Everybody was battening down. It was so extremely strange that she was not there. I mean, one minute she's like validating a security code on a weapon, and she has to go over and talk to this guy who's been sexually molesting her, and then she's never seen or heard from again after the only person being around her was that particular individual. Like, what the royal fuck? Cindy Aguilad, Robinson's new girlfriend, admitted Robinson had told her he killed Vanessa and that she saw her remains in a tough box that he carted out to the arms room where he told her he killed Vanessa. Investigators kept Robinson under watch in a conference room for hours, but Fort Hood didn't tell him why. So they had him waiting in this room, and they didn't tell the soldiers who were watching him why. I don't know why. And then they didn't have any like guns or anything to keep him in the room either. So while he was there, he was allowed to talk on his cell phone to Aguilad, who was with investigators, and agreed to let them record the phone calls. Then he races out of the room. A guard gives chase, but Robinson was able to get into the car and leave the base. Aguilad helped the authorities pinpoint his location so that he could be arrested. About 2 hours later, in the middle of the street, authorities converged on Robinson, who pulled a gun out and shot himself dead. It took 2 hours to track him down, and how Robinson got a gun is still needing to be addressed, like we're ever going to find out. Aguilad was charged with conspiracy to hide and destroy evidence in connection to Vanessa Guillen's death, and was now denied bond on July 14th. Aguilar's lawyers have filed a motion to throw out the entire case and another motion to suppress the statements officers say she made. Now, it's true, it would have been probably a lot of unanswered questions without her giving all this information to the police as well. But she was active in helping him to get rid of Vanessa. And Vanessa wasn't like a whole piece anymore. There were pieces that had to go out there and be covered with cement so people couldn't find her. So she does need to, something to do for that sickness. Who does shit like that? What a slap in the face to the Guillen's family. They totally feel like they've been lied to by the U.S. military services, and this is why I want this name to keep up in your mind. Keep up in your mind. Repost this video. Share, like, subscribe. Please keep Vanessa's memory alive, and I would love it if everybody would post with the little sign, #1, I am Vanessa Guillen, just to let people know that we care about what happened to her. And with that, my Truths Clues aficionados, please stay safe out there, pay attention to truths, clues around you, and be looking forward to my next episode. I appreciate and I love you guys. If you're going to comment, I would love to hear from you. Please be kind.